Hi, Andy XL back with my daily FIFA 2026 World Cup podcast on a day where it's a rest day. So we actually, the first time in the tournament, we have a day with no games as the eight remaining teams rest up between the round of 16 and the quarterfinals. So at this stage, I thought I'd take a sort of review of the tournament and where it stands now. What chance have the final eight teams got of winning it all? And how does it stand in terms of by continent? How have they done in this tournament? So let's start from 1 to 8 with the rankings of the teams in terms of the best chance they've got of winning the tournament. And I've done this each round so far. So I'll give you an update on where they were before the round of 16 and where they are now. So at number one and still at number one are France. France beat Paraguay 1-0 in the round of 16 and had to show an entirely different set of qualities to prevail in that game against the team that took the credit they deserve for their stoic defence in both in this game and against Germany and threw it in the bin with their disgraceful antics. Twice they swung arms at French players, got up to diabolical tricks trying to rake the penalty spot before Mbappe converted that penalty. Countless times they hacked down French players or tried to incite reactions from them who, to their credit, did not bite back. They did bite back a couple of times, but generally showed great restraint and dignity and the class that this bunch of deplorable people in red and white could not even dream of having. The best thing about Paraguay at the end of this game is that we did not have to see them or speak of them again. Instead, this talented and robust French team march on to a quarter-final with Morocco, which is the least they deserve, having overcome the disgraceful antics of this Paraguayan team. France are, for me, the far and away the best team in the tournament to date, and they have made the final in 4 of the last 7 World Cups, and they have every chance of making that 5 out of 8. But can they earn that third star on the jersey? Well, I give them the twice as much chance as anybody else in the tournament. In terms of percentages, I'm giving them a 32% chance of winning this tournament. So, quick sip of coffee, then I'll move on to my number two. Should say my number two ranked team. Right, at two are Spain, who move up from three. Now, they've played five, won four, drawn one, scored nine, and conceded none in this tournament. So well done once again to Cap Verde for the draw. In a highly technical affair that was pretty awful watch between two teams that seem obsessed with keeping the ball in a risk-averse manner rather than making an incisive pass, Spain got past Portugal. One moment of quick thinking by Spanish sub Mikel Merino was enough to take Spain through, but they simply have to be more incisive in attack if they're to beat the very best teams in this competition. Next up it is Belgium for them, and Spain will be strong favourites to make the semi-finals, but they have to show more in attack at some point. And Spain have only ever made one final, which they won, but they are only one of only 8 nations to win a World Cup, and 4 of them are the favourites to win it again this time. So could win number two be coming Spain's way? Well, I give them a 16% chance of winning this tournament. At three, dropping down from two, are Argentina. Tournament 90 minutes record, played 5, won 4, drawn 1, scored 13, conceded 5. 4 goals conceded in the last 2 games against Cape Verde and Egypt, though, are a worrying sign for Argentina. They dodged a bullet in the round of 32 against Cape Verde and needed a Belgian-style miracle comeback to overhaul a 2-goal deficit against the Egyptians. But Messi and co are still in the tournament, and that still makes them a dangerous team to face for anybody left in this tournament. Next up, they face the Swiss, who came through via a penalty shootout. So Argentina will be strong favourites to win that one, or should be. Now, historically, Argentina have made more World Cup finals, 6, than any other team still in the tournament. They have a 3-3 record in finals, so can they make another one and make it 4 from 7? Well, 15% chance of winning the tournament is what I gave them. Right, moving up to 4 in my rankings from 6, where I dropped them to 6 from 3 in the previous round after a poor performance. England bounced back to number 4 in this rankings. They went into Fortress X-Tacker and came out of it not only with their tournament hopes still alive, but also with a collective belief and spirit that can take you a very long way. They battled a lot of things in that game. That hostile crowd, the altitude, having a man sent off, backs to the wall stuff, and they really pulled it out the fire there. They were not short of quality in getting this one. Firstly, technical quality, which was on show from Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, and Jude Bellingham for the first England goal, then from Harry Kane and Bellingham again for the second. What was also on show in those two goals was the athleticism and desire England also have as great qualities, with Rice and midfield partner Elliot Anderson showed in those two goals, and Anthony Gordon showed in winning the England penalty for their third goal, and he was involved in winning a tackle in the second goal as well. After England went down to 10 men, they then threw up a defensive wall any nation would have been proud of and showed the collective spirit to say as a team, none shall pass. And keeper Jordan Pickford was excellent in this game too after an indifferent start to the tournament from him. So that's another major plus. But now they need to go again against Norway in the quarterfinals. And as I've said before, the game after a tough physical test at altitude may be the toughest game energy-wise for England, so they'll be glad of the extra day's break. But if you had offered them a quarter-final against Norway before the tournament started, they would have been more than happy with that. All they have to do now is stop Erling Haaland. Easy, eh? Well, like Spain, England have made just one World Cup final and oh so long 60 years ago from an English point of view. And they won that one, of course. They they have about a 30% chance of making this final, but can they go all the way? Well, I give them a 14% chance because they'll probably be second favourites in the final if it was against France or Spain. So 30% chance of making the final, 14% the chance of winning it. So those four teams that I've gone through are the favourites to win it this time round and are the nations that have won it before. Now we move into the nations that have never made a final even. And that five, staying at five in my rankings, are Morocco. Morocco did not have the best of first halves against Canada, but showed their class as the Canadians tied in the second half to win with room to spare. They now face a huge test in the quarterfinals against France, but they are now on a 49-game run where they have not lost in 90 minutes. So maybe the French have as much to worry about ahead of that game as the Moroccans do. And a second consecutive World Cup semi-final is more than a vague possibility for them here. But in terms of winning the tournament, they've got an uphill battle. They have to get past France and then possibly Spain even before they get to the final. So I'm giving them a 7% chance of winning it. Right, number 6 in my rankings, up from 10, which is primarily because the teams above them in the rankings have now departed, are Norway, and they knocked one of those teams out in Brazil. And that man Haaland was just too good for a Brazilian team that looked vulnerable throughout this tournament. Everything from here is now something of a free hit for the Norwegians, as they have exceeded expectations and can go home with heads held high, regardless of what happens from here on in. And the win over Brazil is probably their most famous win of all. England, beware in the quarters is the message. This Norway team were a dangerous opponent anyway. Now they can play with freedom and increased confidence after the Brazil win. They are very, very dangerous opponents indeed. But in terms of winning the tournament, it's still a big ask for this team who don't have the deepest of squads, very reliant on Haaland. So if Haaland doesn't have a day where he actually misfires, which can happen to anybody, or this cut off the service to him, then Norway will be in trouble. But I still give them a 7% chance of winning the tournament. At 7 in my rankings, moving up from 11, again because teams above them have gone out of the tournament more than their own exploits, are Belgium. Now, Belgium pulled off a great escape against Senegal and then took advantage of errors from the USA, who were above them in these rankings before this round, with a much improved showing from themselves to progress from the round of 16. They seemed motivated by the Balogun affair after the Belgians' own internal issues that appeared to be festering under the surface were put to one side. Although it should be noted that Jeremy Doku only came on as a second half sub and Kevin De Bruyne was an unused substitute in that game. So, I still think there's stuff rumbling in that camp that isn't entirely happy, but they'll be a lot happier after beating the USA for sure. Pre-tournament, I had Belgium as my tournament dark horses, but they will certainly all need to be pulling in the same direction if they have to overcome Spain in their quarter-final. So Spain and then potentially France before they even get to quarter-final. Tough sledding for Belgium. So I give them just a 5% chance of winning the tournament. And eighth in my rankings of the eight are Switzerland, who move up from 13. Switzerland carried out a really good tactical plan to thwart the Colombians, even without young star Johan Manzambi, who missed the game injured. They found a way to progress via a penalty shootout. They will either need another tactical master plan or Manzambi back to inspire them if they are to overcome Argentina in the quarterfinals, though. But anybody that underestimates this very astute team may pay the penalty of being on the wrong end of things against them. So beware of this Swiss team. They're, you know, everybody was looking for their dark horses, and as we've gone through this tournament, Switzerland have grown on me as a team that, they're no mugs. They can beat anybody in this tournament. So, in summary, looking back at that, only 13 countries have ever made a World Cup final. If Morocco, Norway, Belgium, or Switzerland can make it that far, they will add to that list, which would give them the chance to be the ninth nation to join the winners list. And that moves me on to the sort of continental reflection on the tournament. So, let's have a look. CONCACAF. They started the tournament with 6 teams in the tournament, 3 of which were the hosts, who all made the round of 16, but have all gone out at the round of 16. So again, this is a continent that is not really punching at top level in the World Cup states, even though they had 3 of the co-hosts here. So going forward, you didn't really see a lot from the teams who weren't hosts here. So, it's not a good picture for CONCACAF going forward. Africa, right, they came into the tournament with 10 teams, nine made it out of the group stage, 2 got to this round, 1 survives. Egypt put up a credible effort against Argentina, very creditable, but have gone. Morocco are the last man standing. And I give them, like I said, I give Morocco a 7% chance of winning the tournament. So if they did so, they well, even if they made the final, they would become the first African nation to make a final and the first non-European or non-South American team to win the tournament. So Africa, like I said, when we got into this round of 16 stage, round of 32, they still look like good teams, but they're not moving to that next level. While they get to host the tournament next time round, certainly North Africa. So it'll be interesting to see how they progress between here and the next tournament. But there are signs of hope for Africa going forward. Right, Europe, the absolute powerhouse nation. 16 teams in out of the 48 in this tournament. 13 made it out the group stage. 7 made it to the round of 16, and we still have 6 of the 8 remaining now. So they have 6 of the 8 quarterfinalists, which shows just how strong Europe is in world football. And overall, if you add the percentages of those 6 teams together, Europe has a 79% chance of winning this tournament. So there's no doubt that the power still lies in Europe in world football. Asia, they came in with 8 teams. Only 1 got out of the group stage, that was Japan, and they fell at the first knockout hurdle. So this has been a bad World Cup for Asia, and they really don't seem to be moving forward, with the possible exception of Japan. So they need to make big moves forward if they're to be competitive in the next World Cup. Oceania, yeah, let's just give them a quick mention. 2 countries came in, 1 got out the group stage, didn't last very long, Australia, although they did play very well in their knockout match. So, you wouldn't expect much from Oceania, and that's still the case. Now, South America, now, this is a continent on the slide for me, which is why Europe have become even more powerful. We used to look back at World Cups and think, oh, Brazil, Argentina, oh my God, what about Uruguay? Now, Uruguay went out of the group stage. They had 6 teams in the tournament. 5 did get out of the group stage. 4 made it to the round of 32. But now we only have 1 left. Sorry, 4 made it to the round of 16. But now we only have 1 left. Colombia have gone, Brazil have gone, Paraguay went, thank God. But when you look back at it now, Argentina won that qualifying group by a mile. So they were clearly the best team in South America, and the rest were all much of a muchness. They all finished in a heap in qualifying behind Argentina. So really, we need to see some move. And Brazil are going to have Neymar, who's just retiring basically. So South America have got a lot to do to get back to where they were in this stage. Um, so Europe, powerhouse nation, even more than ever now, I think. And that's my review of this tournament so far. Um, so tomorrow I'll come back and look at the first quarter final, France v Morocco. See you soon.